Welcome in, everybody, to the College Football Betting YouTube channel. Before we get to the video you came here for, please do me a very quick favor. Do your boy a solid. Go ahead, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Really does help me grow. Really does help this audience grow. And, of course, we are going to be giving you good, unique, fun, informed college football betting content all season long. Also, of course, you can find full episodes of College Football Betting with Aaron Torres wherever you download podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, etc. Now let's get to the video you came here for. Let's get to these other SEC West teams, and I'll just say this, man. It just shows how challenging this division is. Just think about the four teams we haven't talked about. LSU, A&M, Arkansas, Auburn. Four just historically great programs, historically relevant. And I will say with these over-unders, I don't think that any of these four teams, I think it could go either way. Now, Alabama is Alabama. But outside of Alabama, I think everybody in this division, maybe Mississippi State because of the reasons I talked about, they're an injury, a trick play, a broken play on special teams one way or the other. From hitting the over, from hitting the under, I don't think there's that much difference that separates any of these programs. What I will say, though, is this. Last week during the SEC East preview, I mentioned that if there was one team in the East that was just a total stay away to me, it was the Florida Gators at 7 wins. Well, as we transition to the West, if there's one team that is a total stay away to me in the West, it is absolutely Florida's cross-division rivals, the team that they play every year out of the West, the LSU Tigers. Now, listen, I love LSU, and I'll just say in general, I don't buy the whole Brian Kelly can't handle the SEC. Brian Kelly has won at every level he's ever coached. He won at the I don't know if it was D2 or FCS, Grand Valley State, whatever that is, somewhere in Michigan. He won at Central Michigan. He won at the Group of Five. He won at the Power Five. He won at Cincinnati. He won at Notre Dame. He turned Notre Dame back into a national power, something that people said could not be done when he got there. So I believe in this guy, but he's also inheriting a crazy situation. Remember, the last time that we saw LSU on the field, they had 40-something players for their bowl game against Kansas State. 40-something players. And that shows that, listen, as much as we all love Coach O, and I did love Coach O and I wanted him to work, I just think it's pretty clear that it's just, Coach O he needed to go. You lose to UCLA, you lose to Kentucky at LSU. That is unacceptable. No disrespect to a Kentucky or UCLA fan. It's just a fact. And so now we move on. Now we're in the Brian Kelly era. And I will say there are little glimmers to have optimism about LSU. The quarterback room is certainly interesting. 4 guys in the quarterback room. Miles Brennan, who admittedly was awesome in the very limited time. He was the starting quarterback the year after Joe Burrow left. The problem was he got hurt in the second game or third game of the season. He made 2 starts and he was done. He was really good, but he has not been healthy for 2 full years, really has not played meaningful snaps for most of the last 5 years. He's so old, he's engaged right now, okay? So he's like a 4th, 5th, 6-year senior who's already engaged. That shows you how old he is. I think he's good. It's just, can he stay healthy and how much rust is there? Garrett Nussmeier, who started late in the season. You bring in Jaden Daniels, a starter at Arizona. I'm out on Jaden Daniels. I don't believe in him. I just don't think he's that good, and maybe it's because I'm one of the few people that watches the Pac-12. And then you have Walker Howard, the freshman, who I don't think is going to get much experience this year. So I just bring it all up to say that quarterback room is fascinating, but we still don't know who's going to be the starter. But like I said, there are reasons for optimism. I mean, you have 3 guys in that room with starting experience at the Power 5 level. The skill positions aren't deep, but the talent is there. Obviously, at running back, the big news is John Emery, who missed all of last year, some academic stuff. He is back. And that wide receiver room is probably the one place that LSU is completely stocked the way that LSU needs to be. Obviously, Kayshon Boutte, I love the name. We talked about it on this show last year. We talked about it on the Aaron Torres pod last year. But Kayshon Boutte is back. He is the projected, maybe the top wide receiver in college football this year. And then a couple other guys that played last year, Jeray Jenkins, Malik Neighbors, Jack Beck. So, you look at this team across the board, the wide receiver room is good, and the defensive line does have some very interesting players coming back, including B.J. Ojulari and Ali Gay, who were both really, really, really good players. B.J. Ojulari is another guy that's projected as a first-round pick. The problem with LSU is twofold. Really threefold. One, we're not sure about the quarterback. 2, it's the depth issue that they had 40-something players in their bowl game. And they did do a good job in the portal. They added a bunch of marquee guys, Noah Cain, running back from Penn State, the quarterbacks that I just talked about. They actually pulled Miles Brennan back out of the portal after he left. Greg Brooks, a corner that played at Arkansas. Joe Fauci, a safety that played at Arkansas. So they added marquee talent, but is it enough, especially as the season goes on? That's what we saw with LSU last year. They started getting injuries, and they just didn't have enough bodies, and that's what I worry about this year. What I also worry about with LSU is the schedule. Listen, they open against an interesting Florida State team. Yes, Florida State was 5-7 last year. Yes, they missed a bowl game, but Florida State was very much improved over the second half of the year. I believe Florida State started something like, I want to say 0-4 last year. They start 0-4. They finish 5-7. So you do some simple math there. You start 0-4, 5-7. That's 5-3 down the stretch. You start with Florida State. That won't be easy. And then from there, you have the normal SEC schedule that is always a grind, and it's just tough if you're LSU. Florida State, the two cross-division games, you have Florida this year in the Swamp. You have Tennessee at home. Tennessee is obviously a much-improved team under Josh Heupel. Do you have the bodies to play that fast for 60 minutes, obviously with the way that Josh Heupel is going to play? And then you look at the rest of the schedule. At Arkansas, at A&M, at Auburn. And then you do get Alabama and Ole Miss at home. And so I look at this LSU team, I would probably lean under. I know LSU fans don't want to hear it, but I do think a 6-6 overall body of work at the end of the year, get to a bowl game, get some of these young guys reps, and then hopefully you clean up in recruiting. Coach O, I love him. This place was a mess, and there's nothing else to really say about it except for the fact that it's just a tough spot for LSU to be in.